Hola a todos. Hi everyone. This is Karla Rodriguez, your coach and trainer of NLP and host of this Metafit Metamind podcast, the place where we leaders, speakers, entrepreneurs, and influencers normalize the conversations between both physical and mental health. This is the place where you'll raise your voice and share your story. As your coach, I'm here to guide you to let go of all your limiting chains behind, and I'm on a mission to use this platform to empower and create awareness in your own life. You can follow us on Instagram at Metafit Metamind Podcast, on my personal/business one at Coach Carlita. Please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And if you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Now, it's been a while, but here's the thing, okay? I'll tell you this. It's been a learning experience, honestly, to be okay with, I told my friend, I hope they listen because I have not posted consistent episodes like I used to since having baby Raiden. And it's been something in which recently I have come almost to a place of acceptance that normal or new normal is the new normal in a way. And so honestly, I love podcasting. And for now, I have to be okay with this acceptance that I've come to, that I'm going to be sharing episodes every 2 weeks rather than every week. For now, I will keep you posted on that. And so, I love posting and sharing weekly episodes, but sometimes in life, that sometimes we have to adjust and readjust, especially when we're adding a member to the family, right? That's a huge readjustment. So just having to remember to give me some grace. And so if you're ever in a place of this, in which you're like, I should be doing this, I should be doing that, remember, shoulds are not going to give us the answers always, right? We need to stop shooting ourselves, is what I heard someone say one day in the past. I don't remember who said it, but I'm trying to stop shooting myself. So another update for you that I have is that I'm really, really happy to be scheduling more consistent guests and interviews that I have lined up with powerful people to be on this podcast, to share their stories with you. It's a gift to be able to share and learn from others. And just, I hope that these stories inspire you, motivate you, wake you up, right? To do something for yourself, to grow, to know that there's other people who may have similar stories. And so this is what this is about, is to share our stories for those of you that have ever wanted to share your story, to impact others, but also if you're listening to this or watching this, to also get something, because it's a give and take, it's an exchange of energy. So just remember that. One of the things that I've learned is that when you're podcasting in the beginning, we're not very good unless you have the specialists and people in your team that help you be the best and get to the top, rise to the top from the beginning. And part of this, though, is that it's fun to start from this place, start from the bottom, now we're here, right? And am I the best podcast out there? Probably not yet. Is it a goal to be a really great podcast for you? Yes, of course. And so it's about growing and learning and growing and learning. And so with that in mind, a few years ago, I created Your Journey to Your Podcast 101 course. And I'm offering it again because it's going to be something that literally it's a beginner's guide to podcasting. It's something for you to start if you want to share your story, if you want to do interviews, if you want to have fun, if you want to do something different that not a lot of you are doing, then this is it. And guess what? It's still $97 for starting your podcast, to get all the tools, the resources that you need. You get me for a couple coaching sessions. And so click the link in the show notes below and go check that out. It's going to be really great. Still $97. And I'm adding other mentors in that in the future that will up level this as well. Now, one really, really cool update that I have for you, and you may seem, or you may think, Karla, why are you speaking so softly? Maybe you can't tell, maybe you can't see, is because baby's over there sleeping. And so I have to kind of contain myself a little bit, but I'm still really freaking excited, yo. I shared this on Instagram, but I recently like yesterday or 2 days ago, I was selected to be a speaker at a speaking engagement, a speaking event that I applied to recently, that my mentor told me to apply to because I wasn't going to. I was a little hesitant about it. And, they interviewed me and they said, yeah, you're in. And so I'm really excited to announce that I am going to be a speaker at the Abundance Now Summit happening on March 4th through the 6th. So it's really exciting. It's like good times happening right now. And so stay tuned for all the info, for all the content regarding that, and make sure that when I know the information, I'll give you the link so you can attend that event should you have time. I hope you have time. I hope you support me, because so far I think you have supported me up to this point, on YouTube or podcasting or whatever. So I really appreciate you. And speaking of March 4th, that will be graduation for the next NLP training with the MMA, because that starts on February 29th and it ends on March 4th. So on that day, there'll be new graduates of the next, or of this spring. Is it spring at that point? Yeah, let's just say it is. Of the spring cohort of the MMA. And so it's really exciting to be sharing this again, because I say it all the time, but if I haven't said it enough, it's something that changed my life. It's something that NLP is something that up-leveled my growth, the way I live, the way I question things, the way I see things, the way I listen to others, the way I perceive, the way I understand, and even the way I coach, and started my coaching business and my training business. And so one of the goals, and I don't think I share enough of my goals, but one of my goals is to certify at least this year 40 women entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, those of you starting an entrepreneurship in NLP. Because let me tell you, when you have this, whether you have other trainings, this is such a base for you to use that you can use in any area of your life. And so, yes, I hope you make the leap. If you've been thinking about it, make the leap this year, February 29th through March 4th, MMA's NLP training for this spring. And I think that's all the updates that I have for you. I'm just really excited about what's coming up. So this may have been a little bit long of updates, but it's been a while, and I just want to come back to it. I want to just catch up, and so yeah. And so with that being said, so in this episode, I'm really excited to share with you that my guest is such a powerful person, not only because of her name, but because she is magical. She has so much knowledge. She has a story, a powerful story that I'm not going to give away right now, because I want you to truly listen to this. It's something that I haven't shared, or this kind of story has not been shared on the podcast. And I think for those of you that are, a little bit of trigger warning, but I know you're powerful enough to listen, that this has to do with healing after loss, specifically bringing a life into this world or not being able to. So with that, I'll tell you that is what this story is about. So I had the privilege to interview Karla Levit. Yes, her name is Karla, spelled the same way. I think I mentioned that while we're in this episode together. And she is someone who, she says she is a soul coach. She does soul coaching. She's a mama. She has experience with this loss. She helps you to get and stay pregnant. That is her specialty, but also to heal after really hard experiences during that time. And one thing she has that will be mentioned in the episode is that she has a really cool event happening this summer. So listen to the end of the episode to get all of those details. But I want you to really listen to her story. She's someone that really, from when I met her, it just felt so honest. It felt so just genuine for us to connect. Again, not just because of the name, but I think the fact that we're both coaches, we're in this world to serve. And so she's someone who is of service. She just, to me, gives me so much peace and calm. And I'm pretty sure she can do the same for you. So please listen to this episode. Let me know what you think at the end. Comment if you're watching this YouTube, and rate the episode, like the video. So yeah, please, 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 I will tell you this once again. I so appreciate you and your patience with, more episodes coming out. So just remember to share the podcast with people who you think would appreciate this, who can learn something from this. Subscribe to the podcast, or subscribe to the channel, and just make sure to not listen to any of the updated episodes on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Okay? So enjoy the episode. So thank you so much for being here, Karla. I have Karla Levit here on Metafit Metamind podcast, and I'm really excited. We connected in a group. We have the same name, spelled the same way, and I'm really excited to just have you on here and just share your story, and hopefully, someone gets something inspired, motivated something from this, because you have a very powerful story.
Thank you so much, Karla. Yes, and we bonded on the name spelled with K. I think that's super cool.
Yes.
I don't know very many Karlas, but yeah, thank you for providing the space for me to share my story because my story is a story of pain and
Mm-hmm.
trauma, but it's of resilience and hope and power and stepping into my own power.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a taboo subject. It really is.
Yeah.
It's about pregnancy loss and infertility. And it's a subject that a lot of us suffer in through silence.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah,
I think we need to start changing the narrative and start sharing our story. And so thank you
for
for
sure.
providing that space for me.
Yes, yes. And oh, I just want to learn so much more. So first, before we get to that, like the deep stuff, the taboo that no longer should be taboo, the first question that some people love it, some people don't. Who is Karla?
Wow.
Who's
Well,
Karla?
the real, I mean, the Karla that I am has changed so much in the last year, really. There has
Mhm.
been tremendous growth. I spent the last 20 years working in finance in New York City. And I think a lot of people can relate. The pandemic changed so much. And it
Yeah.
changed my family drastically. And a lot of the way people move through this world now is different
Mm-hmm.
because so many things changed. And I realized that I didn't want to be stuck in a career that didn't really fulfill me.
Mm.
And that I wanted to I mean, I fought tooth and nail for these kids,
Yeah.
my two children, living children, and I wanted to be home. I wanted to spend more time with them. It didn't make sense for me to waste all this time commuting and being
Yeah.
in a career that didn't fulfill me. It was drowning my light. So I took a leap of faith and I left that career
Mm-hmm.
and I became a certified health and wellness coach with a focus on pregnancy and conception. And the reason I did that is because I'm so passionate about that work because that is exactly what I struggled with.
Yeah.
And
Share
I
your
struggled,
story. Go ahead and share that part because
yeah,
that's the part that nobody talks about that I think is really important to listen to and learn and know that it's okay that someone is there like Karla, with with all the healing that you're doing and helping others. I think it's important for someone to know that there is help and that there is hope.
yeah, there is help
Hmm.
and there's hope and there's other people struggling. And,
Hmm.
just to hear those two words, me too.
Hmm.
I know what that feels like. I know what that pain is.
Hmm.
And I have gone through it and made it out to the other side. And I don't mean the other side of grief that you're never going to feel that pain because, the death of my daughter that I lost at 23 weeks will never leave. That will always be a hole in my heart. But that pain has turned into purpose. And that's where I am today, wanting to share my story. So
Yeah.
my story is very long. It takes, it's about a decade of my life.
Hmm.
I I never really first generation, I think you can
Hmm.
um
I relate.
stand that, yeah, and relate
Hmm.
to that. I didn't get very much option of what is it that really lights you up, Karla.
Yeah.
It was go to school, do well in school, go to college, get a career that pays you money and that you can support yourself because you don't want to rely on anyone. That was
Hmm.
built
Yeah.
in hard. So that
Yeah.
really three options.
Yeah. And be
But
humble
this,
in that process.
yes, never forget to be humble. Yes, yes. What is
Hmm.
that? Like a law degree, become
Hmm.
a doctor, or in
Yeah.
business, right? So business is where I landed. And I did well for myself and made money.
Yeah.
But the thing that I wanted more than anything, the thing that I knew was like my deepest desire was to be a mom. And that is where I came up against so much struggle. Um, my husband and I got married. He's the love of my life. I love him to death. Like he is
Oh,
my person. And we got married, beautiful wedding. And then we got pregnant really fast. And
yeah.
we were really scared. And we're like, oh my God, that happened so fast. And then it ended so tragically. My daughter died at 23
Mm-hmm.
weeks. I had a placental abruption, and
Oh,
it
okay.
was a very dangerous situation. It was at one point
Yeah.
we were trying to save my life, right?
Yeah.
I think all of that happened so fast. I was not prepared. I did not know what was going to happen. I did not know that you could hold your baby. I had to give birth to my daughter. So I was in active labor and I gave birth to her and I knew she was already dead. So that trauma is something that I carried on and I held so deeply within my body that I think really affected my fertility journey and my ability to conceive.
Yeah.
Went on to struggle. The stats are 1 in 4, women will suffer a miscarriage. 1 in 8 suffers through infertility. 1 in 100 will experience recurrent miscarriage. One
Wow.
in 60 will end in stillbirth, and 1 in 6 will suffer PTSD. Now, people say, right, that lightning doesn't strike twice. Well, every single one of those stats I
Mhm.
hit in 10 years. And
Yeah.
so in that time, we were able to conceive my daughter Isabella, who's 7 now, and she was certainly my first
Oh,
rainbow baby
yes.
and brought so much joy and pain. But I realized that I was full of stress and anxiety. It's a miracle that she was born, really,
Yeah.
because I was carrying on to so much fear and trauma. And, we wanted to continue our family, grow our family.
Mm-hmm.
And we came out, we had more subsequent losses early term. And then my OB was like, okay, Karla, you're getting older in age. I
Mm-hmm.
can't I can't bear to see you in any more pain. Let's do IVF. And IVF was the solution, and
Yeah.
everything worked. We had 23 eggs retrieved, we had genetically tested embryos,
You had
and we
everything you needed.
everything. My body was perfect. I mean, my RE went as my reproductive endocrinologist
Uh-huh.
went as far as to say you have the Ritz Carlton of uteruses.
Wow.
Any woman out there, yeah,
Yeah.
woman out there would die to be in your position. But you know what, Carla, it didn't work. It
Yeah.
didn't work. 3 genetically tested embryos did not stick. And then he called me and he's like, there's really no more options for you. And that was the turning point. That was the catalyst to my growth and to my healing because he gave up on me, but I
Mm-hmm.
never gave up on myself.
Yeah.
I
That's
knew
key
we
right
couldn't,
there.
yeah, we couldn't continue, financially, emotionally, physically,
Yeah.
but I wasn't going to give up on myself and my dream of my family. Nobody was going to take that away from me.
Yeah. I think a big thing that you said there is like the belief in yourself, how like you have to keep that because if you believe everybody else, like you may have just stopped there. And then how would you have, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to, but like just in general, like how does one feel when we believe everybody else and then we're still left there. I should have done that. Should have tried that or that. And so I think it's amazing that you've kept that belief and that power of belief in that. And just I know you mentioned when we spoke before is that you're really into Dr. Joe Dispenza. I think he's amazing. And I think there's also a lot of information that he gives about the power of belief. And like my favorite book that he has is what is it? Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
Yeah.
And breaking the habit of like no longer going by the standards that we are told to do, as you said, go to school, go to college, have your career, get your home, like just be happy with that. And you were like, no, I'm going to do what's best for me. And I think that's really amazing at what you've been doing.
Yeah. I mean, you have to really, the mind is so powerful,
Hmm.
you know, and you have to understand your role in it. Like your mind believes everything that you tell it,
Oh yeah.
and, and then it tells your body.
Hmm.
I was replaying this vicious cycle.
Yeah.
I was so scared because I was under this subconscious programming,
Yep.
really. And that subconscious programming is what kept me safe because I was still reeling from so much pain. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I began to understand that, you know, my present or my past was not my present,
Mm-hmm.
my present was not my future, that I actually had some say in what my life could be, and that I could start to do my part
Mm-hmm.
in surrendering to my life, to its flow, and being able to get to the point where I could fulfill my biggest dreams. You
Yeah.
know, um, I think my program that I want to teach and what I want to help women understand is that we are so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a mind, body, heart connection
Yes.
for me, right? And I think what I learned from Dr. Joe was that, if you keep replaying the memories of your past, nothing is ever going to change.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what
It's a
I've,
vicious cycle,
it's a vicious cycle.
unless
And
you choose to exit.
yeah. And the thing is, I chose to exit when the medical community gave up on me.
Mm-hmm.
It took that much for me to surrender,
Yeah.
that much for me to go to the beginning, which was the trauma of my daughter dying.
Yeah.
I had to go there. I had to go there first, sit with my grief and my pain, and that is scary work.
Yeah. Like,
Like, go
I can't
ahead.
even imagine. Like, I get so, like, almost like super emotional inside when I hear this. Like, I have my son, he's my first son, my first baby, firstborn. I have a stepson, and just thinking about that, it's just like, it's so like it's so heavy, and your power that you have to get through that mentally, physically. I think it's amazing that you have your husband, your partner, who's been there with you the whole time and supportive in this process of you going through this accept or reject this pain, you know, and just like you still like now thriving, I think, and teaching other women, and like my sister in El Salvador, she had also a pregnancy loss at 5 months. That was after an accident she had at work, and I didn't understand that kind of potential pain at the time, not being a mom at the time. Well, yes, being a stepmom, but it's different. Like when someone biologically comes out of you versus, you still love your children, them even though they're not biological, but it's just the feeling of like you were growing this little being, and now that little being is your little spirit or your little angel or whatever, however you see that. And they say that babies that are, I don't know if your babies were born with this, but they say that babies born with like stork's kiss is like an angel's kiss too. Like someone that was supposed to be there before you, like that little one is supposed to be guiding you there. And that's kind of more going into like the spirit and stuff. But I don't know, that's kind of what I imagine, but it's just so heavy. And it's just not just anyone can do what you're doing, Carla, with that after like helping someone grieve through that loss and then get to the other side.
Yeah. Well, I love to go on the spirit side because I've
Hmm.
also been changed by that, but in
Hmm.
a beautiful way. When I
Hmm.
lost my daughter, she came to me in the hospital in a
Hmm.
dream as a white bird, and she said, "Everything
Oh,
is gonna be okay, mommy."
yeah.
And in my darkest moments, I have replayed that, and I
Hmm.
have trusted that and had faith in that she told me that everything
Yeah.
is going to be okay. And you know
Yeah.
what? She was right.
Yeah.
But I had to step forward
Hmm.
and take my power back.
Yes.
Really, it was a long, 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 long process. But there's this theory or this concept of post-traumatic growth. And
Mm.
it's when you go through your darkest days, you
Hmm.
come out on the other side alive,
Yeah.
and you turn your wounds into wisdom that lead you down a new path, a new purpose, a new path of self-discovery. And that's really where I am. My pain has turned into my purpose. And I feel so strongly about helping women work through this trauma, this pain, because I know how isolating it feels,
Mm-hmm.
and the feelings of grief,
Mm-hmm.
shame, fear, those are debilitating. Those
Yeah.
are debilitating. And I remember going through this process and thinking, how am I going to get out of this? Like, how am I going to get what I so desperately want? Like, how is this going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
And I learned so much um, from Dr. Joe.
Yeah.
And it was simple as, you know, changing my belief system.
Yeah.
You know, I was to reprogram my mind. I was
Yeah.
to let go of the old programming that said, you're not worthy, you can't do this, everything is so hard, preparing myself the worst so that I can protect my heart.
Yeah.
I had to let go of that, and I had to step into a new identity. And
Yeah.
it's as simple as, well, meditation was key for me. I had a lot of beautiful moments of healing
Mm-hmm.
in meditation. And a lot of people scoff at meditation, but
Yeah.
it's the easiest and hardest thing to do, to sit with your thoughts, sit
Yes.
in silence, sit with your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts and just be, not
Yeah.
judge them, not question them, not analyze them, just be aware of them. And in
Mm-hmm.
those moments of meditation, I had a few times when Paloma appeared. And
Yeah.
it was 3 times, and it was always the
Oh.
same. She put her arms around me and she would hug me. And it
Oh.
was like it was real, Carla. And I get
Yeah.
chills thinking about it now
I
because
got you. I got sweaty
I,
right
I
now.
yeah, I didn't want to wake up, and it was like, no, 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 Carla, don't wake up,
Yeah.
because when you wake up, she'll be gone. But
Mm-hmm.
she gave me those moments of forgiveness, and I needed that. I
Mm-hmm.
needed that. I needed that to be able to move on.
Yeah.
And then I began to realize that, okay, I'm feeling acceptance of my path.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go get what is divinely my right. I want another child. And
Yeah.
so I began to, instead of not allow, like when I would think about, going through another cycle, whatever, I would be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to type A myself through this. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
think about everything that might happen, so I can control the situation. But what I realized was that it was out of my hands. It was
Yeah.
not in my control. I could do everything possible for this process to work, because, IVF is extremely expensive and painful, and it's a process, but the rest was up to God or the universe or
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is
Mm-hmm.
that you believe in. And so what I began to do, which was key to my healing, was, instead of stopping myself from visualizing what this life that I so deeply wanted was, I allowed myself to. And what I
Mm.
realized in this visualizations that I did was that I began to have the same vision. And when
Yeah.
always this little boy, and like, I'll tell you that
Yeah.
we are women heavy in my family and in my husband's family. So the fact
Yeah.
that always this visualization, this vision that I had was always a little boy, was actually kind of funny to me, that I was
Uh-huh.
like,
You're like,
yeah, right. And I
what?
was like, no, Carla, allow it. And there was always this little boy, like in this large field, kind of like in that pre-toddler stage,
Yeah.
kind of like um leaning forward, almost looking like he was gonna fall, but like, and it was
Yeah.
a vision, and then it
I'm
would
gonna
it
be
would be,
there.
yeah, and then it would be like me and him walking down the aisle. And
Mm.
I began to like have these visions, and I allowed myself to feel what it would feel like,
Yeah.
and to allow myself to this energy to course through my body, and to actually feel it, and more
Hmm.
importantly, to believe it, to
Yeah.
believe that it could happen. And for me, it was an experiment, and it worked,
Yeah.
because now I have a beautiful son that I conceived at 41, gave birth to him at 42. It was a beautiful pregnancy. And I
Hmm.
just had this realization not too long ago while filming him in my backyard, that I
Yeah.
moved from the city to the suburbs. That was my vision.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's
well,
powerful.
it struck me, because I was like, I did that. That
Yeah.
was magic. That was my power. That was
Hmm.
my destiny. There is a way to your destiny, but
Hmm.
you need to surrender to it, you know?
Yeah.
And and Dr. Joe taught me, like, it's basic. It's like, what is your, it's an intention, a clear intention with an
Hmm.
elevated emotion. The
Yeah.
clear intention was to conceive a child naturally, and the elevated emotion was joy, love,
Yeah.
gratefulness. And I would play these mental movies in my mind, like when
Yeah.
you're in the shower, it's like my time. I love being in the
That's
shower.
me too. I go in the shower. That's where I start
You
and like the mirror, the glass, and I start writing in there and thinking,
know,
and yeah, I get
the
it.
sound of water too, I think
Yeah.
that's relaxing and kind of
Mm-hmm.
puts you into that meditative state. And then
Mm-hmm.
also before I was going to bed, I would just not practice, but like
Mm.
play them over and over and over and over and over. And then when I got pregnant, nobody believed me. And I was like, hell yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
Yes, this
This was
works.
natural, yo.
And I have to spread the word. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I cannot have gone through 10 years of what I suffered through to keep
Mm-hmm.
all of this wisdom and this knowledge and this firsthand experience to myself.
Yeah.
You know, I want to help women work through this because
Yeah.
it's a process. It is a process.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I want to pay it forward because
Yeah.
there is so much shame and guilt and fear surrounding this subject, and people don't want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah.
is it's like, when you're on you're on the highway and you see a crash and you like kind of slow down to it and you're
You
like
kind of
trying
like,
to check
let's
it out.
see.
Yeah, but you don't want to stare too much because God forbid it happened to you,
Yeah. Like, what are they gonna
But
tell me? I
the
shouldn't be
fact is,
so chismosa right there.
yeah, or a metiche,
Yeah,
right?
metiche. Yeah,
Um,
especially in the Latina community too. I think that's a huge thing about this is like we're supposed to be, we talked about this fertile. We're supposed to be this or that or have a couple kids, or if by age 30-ish we haven't had a kid, like something must be wrong with her, you know. And and then when you do get pregnant, like and my family, I love my family, but they were like, por fin, finally, I'm like, oh, what does this mean? And so it's a conversation that I think is so important to have for women. Yes, in the Latina community too, but like for women that like I think little by little, I'm starting to hear a little more stories. And I think again, it's amazing that you are sharing your journey, the struggles to the now thriving and, sharing this with others.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely we talked a little bit about this
Mm-hmm.
yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
There's this idea that as a Latina, you're like hyper fertile, super
Mm-hmm.
fertile. My mom literally had like one ovary and she had like three kids. And like, yes, I very much felt this cultural
Mm-hmm.
pressure. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, yo te dije, yo te
Uh-huh.
dije. I
Yeah.
remember one of my uncles telling me, like, when I came home from college one time, like, when are you gonna have kids? Because your
Mm-hmm.
eggs are getting old. He said your egg will
Yeah.
get old. And I was like, what do you know about that? And that is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like ridiculous. And I was like literally in my 20s. Like, sure, yes, I think culturally a lot of Latina women
Mm-hmm.
are, focused on other dreams, like our
Yeah.
careers and living our lives,
Mm-hmm.
and we have to think about, the pressures that we have as well. We want better for
Mm-hmm.
our children.
Yes.
We carry the dreams of our family,
Yes. Being
ancestors
first gen for sure.
on our backs. Yes. And
Mm-hmm.
so we have that pressure to get to that level. Well, that level takes time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Because we have a lot of things working against us. So delaying conception is something that I think a lot of women in general and Latinas are coming up against. But just because you're starting your families in the 30s, I'm part of these Facebook groups and I constantly see this fear that
Mm-hmm.
is being instilled in women that like once you're 35 you're like geriatric or your eggs are old or your eggs are bad. Okay, first of all, that is not true, and it keeps us in a state of fear. And
Yeah.
when you're in a state of fear constantly, like science proves that stress down regulates our genes that leads to
Yeah.
disease. So for me, starting my family in my 30s, in my later 30s, I was told I was geriatric, I was high risk, and it put me in a position of stress automatically.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, is this going to work? Did I wait too long? I sacrificed my career for my family, and
Yeah.
all these things in my mind,
Yeah.
that didn't serve me,
Yeah.
that were that that I proved wrong,
Yeah.
because nobody, no doctor is going to tell me what I know
Hmm.
intuitively in my body, you
Yeah.
know? And this is what I'm really trying to share my message about too, is that when we're in a position where we're handing over our power because we feel so vulnerable, because I felt like there's something wrong with me, my body, there's something wrong with my body. I'm letting myself down, my husband down, my family. It's like a shameful thing. I'm handing over my power and I'm allowing this person to dictate what is right for me and not listening to my inner intuition. And I think that's where we go wrong too. We need to return to our bodies, return to ourself, tune in more to our bodies, our inner wisdom, and stepping into our power. That is what I really, 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 really want to focus on. I think it's so important.
And in this process, this journey, because this is a big part of this for me, is that correlation, right, between physical, mental health and how they play it together. It's a balance. And also heart, as you said, the physical, mental, the heart or the spirit. For you, how has that been something that you've implemented for you? Like, because at first, the physical, the mental, like all of that is just, it feels like it's not there. And now where you're at. So, how has that played out for you?
Well, I think those are the three keys.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the three keys to healing yourself. And we have the power to heal ourselves
Yeah.
if you believe and if you surrender. And that word surrender has been something that has plagued me for years. Like I'm into yoga, I used to surf, like surrender. Like what
Mm.
in God's name does that mean? That goes
Yeah.
against everything that we've learned like growing up. You got to hustle, you got to try hard. If you do everything you're supposed to do, you will achieve here. Okay. Well, not when it comes to your fertility, or at least not in my case and in my story. So the mental part is so important. And I talked a little bit about it, but it was to reprogram my mind, to face the shadow work, to let go of my old stories that weren't serving me anymore. I was worthy of the life that I always dreamed of. I didn't need someone to fix me. I need to step into my own power. And so that began by first acknowledging the programming in my mind that was so automatic that I didn't even know what was happening. And then I had to reprogram my mind and worked daily, actively. It's a practice. Healing is a practice, it's a daily practice. And I'm not talking about perfection. No, I'm not perfect. I can slip into my old programming like this, like this in a heartbeat. It is so innately within you, but it's a
Yeah.
daily practice. And I chose that I wanted to be happy and I wanted to be free. And I had to free myself first of all of that generational trauma, personal trauma, old programming. And
Mm-hmm.
so it really began with meditation, breath work, a lot of breath work to move that old energy. Like we are energetic beings. And that
Yeah.
is very, very important,
Mm-hmm.
to my healing. And then the visualizations, and I had a friend that I worked in finance and she had traveled all over the world doing yoga and stuff. And she opened a spin studio cycle and she said, okay, let's come up with a mantra, Karla. And I said, okay, my baby is coming. And she said, no, no, she said, reframe this. Your baby is here. Your baby is here. And to me, that was just a monumental shift, right? To think about it as my baby is here. And so I'm going to start acting like my baby is here. I am going to start picturing myself pregnant, like I'm going to make my husband go to Taco Bell for burritos. I am going picture my nursery. I am going to allow myself to have all of these visions of the future, and allow my body to feel like it was actually real. And that is so powerful because I was able to energetically connect with my baby and bring him down, and like I read the book Spirit Babies. I don't know if a lot of people know about that.
No. Oh,
Yeah,
that's a new one in my list then. Spirit babies?
yeah,
Okay.
it's awesome. It's awesome. And yeah, I mean, the work is powerful, but you have to learn to surrender. And I want to explain surrender a little bit in a way that finally made sense and clicked for me was that surrender means let go or be dragged. And for me, that made so much sense. I couldn't allow myself to be dragged through this pain and this trauma and this IVF and like force this to work. I had to stop for my own sanity, mental health, financial health, you know? And when I finally stopped forcing and started to flow, you know, the synchronicities, the miracles, the magic started. And I know this is the thing, like, I am so passionate about this because I know that it works. But we have to do the work. You
Mhm.
have to do the work. You cannot expect just to like start thinking, oh, I want a baby, and then it just pops from the sky. No,
Mhm.
it is work.
Yeah.
And for me, it's really like what I want to start, what I'm teaching in my program is
Mhm.
three parts. It's prepare your body, right? Because we have to
Mhm.
think about also uh, stress, what that does to our bodies, being in a state of fight or flight, cortisol levels, the
Yeah.
stress hormones are in direct correlation with hormones needed to conceive a pregnancy. And so you have to think about that in your body. You need to think
Mhm.
about the environmental factors, the socioeconomic factors, our food,
Mhm.
all these things that are, causing hormonal imbalances. So we have to think about that. Then we need to think about our mind, which is what we spent a lot of
Mhm.
time talking about today, which I think is more important than anything else. Really, your mindset. And then we have to talk about finding the right support. And that would be someone like me to kind of mentor you and coach you
Mhm.
through the process, and also community. Sharing your
Yeah.
There is so much power in sharing your story, you
Yeah.
know?
And that's why I love this. This is why I have this platform, is for people to continue to share their story. And yes, like I'm in everything that you just said. Prepare your body, do the mindset work, find the right mentor, coach, therapist, whoever it is that you need, your community, like it's all part of it. And like you said, like the I think the two really, really important ones are definitely the prepare your body, because you prepare it physically and you prepare it mentally, right? And like when I got pregnant, I think at that point I had probably surrendered and I had probably let go to just wishing or hoping that I would have a baby. And my body was doing weird things, funny things last or before I got pregnant, because of environment, because of probably food, because of birth control, like all of these things that just mess with our bodies. And I had already been doing the mental work, and a lot of what you say, a lot of what Dr. Joe says is a lot of what I teach too in NLP, right? It's what you tell your mind, your body will do.
Mhm.
If you can change your belief, then you will bring down your baby, because he was just there like, hey, I'm waiting for you to call me. So yeah. And what's your I want to know what your if you have a in your program, like if it has a name, like when is that happening, is it already live, like share about that. I honestly want you to share this powerful thing, magic, that you are helping others with.
Thank you. Well, I'm really excited because I was very fearful to do this. This is very outside of my
Yes.
comfort zone. Telling telling the world. I mean, not the world listening to me. I mean, I don't even know who's listening to me. There's someone out there listening,
Oh
but
yeah.
like my darkest secrets, my innermost fear and shame, that takes a lot of
Yeah.
courage. To be vulnerable takes a lot of courage, but it's
Yes.
powerful. And, we didn't really touch on the spiritual part, which is something so magical for me too, because I've had these encounters with
Yeah.
my daughter who has passed. And, the day I was wanting to film like my first post, which was so hard for me, I was like, Mama, if I am on the right path, send me a sign. And I don't want it to be any like a dime or whatever it is, a small thing. I want it to be so in my face that there's no way that my
Yeah.
analytical brain can tell me that no, that's not real, that didn't happen. And
Hmm.
so it was crazy, and I have it
Yeah.
on film, and I want to share it one day,
Yeah.
but
You
I
can
know.
share it here one day when you're ready.
Yeah, I know that my this is my path. I know this more than anything, and I know that my daughter, as my angel, is guiding me and supporting me and showing me the way. So What I have live right now is we have every Thursday at 9 Eastern time, we have a free support group,
Oh,
which is
cool.
women coming together and we're just sharing our stories. We're supporting one another. We're sharing ideas, maybe, where we're at, our pains. We're giving voice to the unspoken so that we can heal, right? And
Mm-hmm.
then other number one thing that I'm so excited about, Carla, is my retreat. It's going to be in Costa Rica in July.
Wow.
And it is for women suffering through infertility or pregnancy loss. And we are going to do the work in the jungle and the magic of Costa
Wow.
Rica. Um,
Yes.
we're going to do we're going to do a remembrance circle. We're
Mm-hmm.
going to be doing trauma-informed yoga. We're going to be doing breath work, Reiki. We are going to be doing dance movement to release some
I
of
love
that
it.
anger and frustration, but also to find joy because I think music is so powerful. And then we're gonna do maybe some surfing. We're gonna go to this waterfall and do like a water healing ceremony. I have so many beautiful things in store. I
Yeah.
this is a dream of mine, and to actually put it together is like, oh, I don't know.
I'm
I'm
excited for that.
I'm so excited for it. It's gonna be
Yeah.
amazing, amazing, amazing. And then I have one-on-one coaching, and it's all on my website.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find me on Instagram. That's kind of my main outlet where I'm sharing my story. But all the information is there
Cool.
on
And then
Instagram.
I'll be sharing all the links to all the things, her Instagram, which is Karla, Karla dot Levit, right? Levit. I
Yep.
wasn't sure if I said it right, but I was like, this is what it would sound like in my head.
Yeah.
So again, Karla.Levitt, Instagram, yo. If you are wanting to share your story, mamas out there, maybe at some point, dads, I don't know.
Yeah.
Reach out to Karla. She's got something really, really powerful. She's got magic. And then you've already shared so much, but what's one piece of something that you would want whoever's listening, whoever needs this to know, something that you'd want to just share that was a key piece for you?
That
Hmm.
as women, you are so much more powerful than you could have ever imagined. And it's about stepping into that belief system. It's about stepping into that, stepping into your power. And there's no time like the present. 2024 in numerology is number 8. It means stepping into your power. It's about flow and abundance. So go get it. It's yours. It's yours for the taking. And I'll help you together.
Yes, go get it. So, thank you so much, Karla, for being here with me, Karla. This is powerful. I feel like we can have another episode, another podcast episode at
Yeah.
some point, because I think kind of something that's calling me is like going into that spirit
I
talk
was just
too.
going to say that to you, Carla.
Yeah.
We need to talk
A
about that.
Yes. So we
I
can
think it
do
would
a
be
part
so
two to
interesting.
this
Yeah.
about this and just because this is like I honestly think this could easily be like a 2-3 hour recording.
Yeah.
But we got to keep it short for people's attention, yo.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for being here. So appreciate you. I'm so happy to have met you. And yeah, till the next episode.